Alex had always dreamed of exploring the stars, of seeing new worlds and meeting strange creatures. He had spent years training, preparing for this moment, the moment he could leave Earth behind and travel beyond the bounds of human civilization. Yet, nothing could have prepared him for what he found on the surface of this distant planet. The planet was barren, its landscape harsh and unwelcoming. The sun had just begun to set, casting a warm orange glow across the rocky plains. Alex, dressed in his space explorer suit, checked his equipment. His communicator buzzed faintly with static, and the ground trembled slightly beneath his feet. He had been stranded on this planet for days, trying to get a signal to contact his ship. The atmosphere was too thick for a direct transmission, and he was running low on supplies. They had never imagined being stuck on an alien world, but that was the reality now. Alex was alone, except for the strange creatures he had glimpsed in the distance. Alien life was something he had always dreamed of, but now that he was here, he realized how little he understood about it. As Alex trudged across the rocky terrain, something caught his eye. A faint movement on the horizon, a figure stumbling. Through the dust, Alex squinted, unsure of what he was seeing. Could it be another explorer, or was it something else? He quickened his pace, his curiosity getting the better of him. As he approached, he saw two figures, alien twins, barely standing, their bodies thin and frail, barely able to hold themselves up. They were covered in a layer of dust, their skin a soft, pale blue with tinges of violet. Their eyes, though, large and shimmering with faint light, seemed exhausted, tired, and desperate. Alex stopped in his tracks, his heart racing. He had never seen anything like them before. Their long, slender bodies were beautiful in a way he couldn't quite describe. But they were also fragile, and it was clear that something was terribly wrong. The twins' bodies were shaking, their movements weak and unsteady. They seemed to be starving. "Hey, Alex asked cautiously, taking a step toward them. He had no idea if they could understand him, but his voice was soft, full of concern. One of the twins lifted her head, her large, luminous eyes locking onto his. She took a shaky step toward him, but her legs gave out and she collapsed onto the ground. Her sister gasped and rushed to catch her, but she too stumbled and fell beside her twin. Alex's heart sank. He rushed forward, kneeling beside them, checking their vital signs as best as he could. They were cold, their bodies unnaturally still. He could feel the faint pulse in their necks, weak but still there. "Hold on," he muttered to himself, his mind racing. He had limited resources, but he knew he couldn't just leave them to die. Here, they needed help. He pulled out a ration pack from his backpack and tore it open, kneeling beside her. Grateful. Her sister, still weak, looked at Alex with an almost pleading expression. "You are kind. But why?" she asked. "Why did you help us?" "We are nothing." Alex hesitated. He had no answer for that. He didn't know why he helped them. Maybe it was because they were helpless, or maybe it was simply because he couldn't stand to see anyone, especially something so vulnerable, suffer. I couldn't leave you to die," Alex said quietly. Not sure if they could comprehend the depth of his emotions, the twins exchanged a look, their gazes meeting in silent communication. After a moment, the first twin spoke again. "You are different," she said, her voice steady now, though tinged with a sense of awe. "You are human." Alex raised an eyebrow. "What does that mean?" "We are alone," the twin said slowly, as if struggling to explain. "Our people are dying. There are few of us left. We cannot survive without help." Alex frowned. "What are you saying?" The twin looked at her sister, then back at Alex. "We need bond," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "A partner. Someone strong. Someone who can help us rebuild." Alex was taken aback. He had no idea what they meant. Were they asking for more than just a rescue? What were they suggesting? Before he could say anything, the other twin spoke. "We need you," she said softly, "to help us create a future." Alex felt a chill run down his spine. What had he gotten himself into? The twin sisters sat beside Alex, their gazes now fixed on him with a sense of deep curiosity. Alex had helped them, saved their lives, But now they were looking at him in a way that felt different, almost as if they saw something more in him than just a passing stranger. One of the twins, the one who had spoken first, finally broke the silence. She studied Alex for a moment before speaking, her voice soft but filled with a strange urgency. "You are different from the others we have encountered," she said. "Your kindness, your strength, it's not like anything we've seen before." Alex felt uneasy under their intense scrutiny. He had only done what anyone would do, help those in need. But their words made him feel like he had just become part of something bigger, something he wasn't yet sure he fully understood. "I don't understand," Alex replied, his voice carrying confusion. "Why do you keep saying that? What do you need from me?" The other twin, her skin still pale and fragile but her body more stable now, looked down at the ground as if gathering her thoughts. Then she raised her eyes to meet Alex's and spoke. "We are the last of our kind," she said, her voice barely more than a whisper. "Our world diet is dying. The resources that kept our people alive have all but vanished, and the rest of our species they are gone." Alex's heart sank as he listened. He had heard of planets facing extinction, of species struggling to survive. But hearing it from the twins, seeing their faces, their fragile forms, made it all too real. "What happened?" Alex asked, his voice soft with sympathy. "Our home it was destroyed. A long time ago, a great war tore through our world. It left us broken, scattered, and starving. We are the last survivors, and we have nothing left but the will to survive. Our people were once strong, but now—" The twin trailed off, her words heavy with sorrow. The first twin spoke again, her voice tinged with a quiet desperation. "We cannot survive alone. We need help. A partner to carry on our species. Without it, we will be lost forever. And that is where you come in." Alex looked between the two of them, confusion and concern written across his face. "Wait," he said, holding up a hand. "Are you saying you want me to help you? Repopulate your species?" "That's not what I expected." The twins glanced at each other for a brief moment, their eyes conveying something Alex couldn't quite read. Then the first twin turned back to him and nodded slowly. "Yes," she said, her tone gentle but firm. "Our species can only survive through reproduction. We cannot carry on alone, and we have no other choice but to ask for your help. We are not asking for anything more than what is necessary to ensure the survival of our kind." Alex took a step back, his mind racing as he tried to process what the twins were asking. They were asking him to help them, not just out of kindness, but because their very survival depended on it. They had no other options, no other means of preserving their species. "I don't know what to say," Alex finally said, his voice tinged with confusion. "I didn't come here to be part of something like this. I just wanted to help you." "That's all." The second twin, her expression solemn but kind, spoke softly. "We understand your hesitation, human," she said. "This is not something we expected either, but our world is dying. If we do not act, if we do not find a way to save ourselves, then we will be lost, and we cannot bear that." Alex felt a surge of compassion for the twins, their desperation tugging at his heart. But he also knew that what they were asking of him was no small thing. It wasn't just about helping them recover, it was about becoming part of their future, something he wasn't sure he was prepared for. "I can't promise you anything," Alex said, his voice shaky. "I don't even know if I'm the right person to help you. I'm just one man. I'm not sure I can be what you need." The twins exchanged another glance, their silent communication deepening the mystery of their bond. Then the first twin turned back to Alex, her eyes soft but steady. "You are human," she said. "You possess the strength and the spirit that we need. Our species has always relied on powerful bonds of trust, of love, of survival. And now we believe that bond can be formed between you and us." Alex swallowed hard. He had no experience with anything like this. He was just a human, a traveler in space, not a savior of an entire alien species. But looking at the twins, he saw the hope in their eyes, and for the first time, he realized that they were placing their trust in him. They had no other choice. I still don't know if I can be what you need, Alex said quietly, feeling the weight of their words. But I'll help you. I'll help you survive. That's all I can promise right now. The twins nodded in unison, a deep sense of relief washing over their faces. The first twin spoke again, her voice calm but with a hint of gratitude. Thank you, she said softly. We do not ask for much, only that you help us secure a future. Your willingness to help is more than we could have hoped for. Alex didn't know what the future held or what he was truly committing to. But in that moment, as the sun set behind them and the twin moons rose into the sky, he understood that he couldn't turn away. They were asking for his help, not because it was easy, but because their very survival depended on it. And for better or worse, he was the only one who could answer their call. The days that followed were filled with uncertainty and strange new dynamics. Alex had never thought of himself as someone who would become entangled in the future of an entire alien species. But the twins were Count Alex, Lyra began, her voice soft but filled with a sense of purpose. We need to talk about something important. Alex looked up from his spot by the fire. He had been resting, thinking about everything that had happened since he first encountered the twins. There was so much to process, so much he didn't understand. Yet despite the confusion, he could sense the urgency in Lyra's voice. What is it? Alex asked, his tone gentle. Lyra sat down beside him, her movements careful as if she were measuring each word she spoke. The time has come for us to discuss our future. We have already told you that our species depends on bonding with a partner, someone who can help us carry on. But there is more to this bond than just survival. It is not just about the physical act of reproduction. It is about trust, respect, and the creation of a future. Alex's heart beat a little faster. The weight of her words settled heavily in his chest. He had known that they were relying on him, but hearing it from her in this quiet, serious moment made it feel more real. More permanent. We cannot survive alone, Lyra continued. And we cannot do it without you. We know you have your doubts. But we are asking you to become part of us, to help us create a new future, not just for our people, but for your people as well. Together, we can rebuild what was lost. Together, we can create something that will last beyond both of our species. Alex sat there, his mind racing. What she was asking was not just a commitment to them, but to an entirely new future, a future where his actions would shape the survival of another species. It was a lot to process, and he wasn't sure if he was ready for it. He had come to the planet as a traveler, but now he was being asked to become something more. I don't know if I can do that, Alex said quietly, his voice carrying a mix of confusion and concern. I don't know if I can be what you need. Lyra turned to him, her eyes filled with understanding. We do not ask you to be perfect, she said softly. We only ask that you help us, that you share in this bond with us. You do not need to have all the answers, Alex. We simply need you to be willing. Willing to help us rebuild, to be part of something greater than what we are now. Alex felt a pang of guilt. He wanted to help them. He truly did. But the idea of becoming so deeply intertwined in their survival was a heavy responsibility. He wasn't sure he was the right person for such an important task. Lyra reached out, her delicate hand resting on his arm. You have already shown us that you have the strength we need. You gave us food when we had nothing. You did not hesitate to help us when we were at our lowest. That is why we believe you are the one who can help us. Alex looked at her, her soft features illuminated by the light of the fire. He saw the sincerity in her eyes, the hope that she and her sister had placed in him. He had never imagined that. His simple act of kindness would lead him to this point, where he was now being asked to help an entire species survive. But as he sat there looking at Lyra, he realized that he couldn't walk away. Not now, not after everything they had shared. What exactly are you asking me to do? Alex asked, his voice barely more than a whisper. Lyra's gaze softened. We are asking you to form a bond with us, to help us rebuild our world, to be a father to the next generation of our people. We cannot do this without you. We need you, Alex, as much as you need us. Alex felt the weight of her words settle into his chest, like an anchor he couldn't escape. He had spent his life exploring, seeking adventure, but never in his wildest dreams had he imagined something like this. He was being asked to become part of a new future, to help these alien sisters create a legacy for their people, and, in some ways, for his own. He took a deep breath, his mind filled with swirling thoughts. I don't know if I'm ready. For this, I didn't come here for this. I came to help you survive, not to become the father of your future. Lyra nodded, understanding his hesitation. We know this is not what you expected, Alex, but we believe it is the only way. We believe that, together, we can create something strong, something that will last. Alex looked into her eyes, his heart heavy with the weight of the decision ahead. This was more than just helping two stranded aliens. It was about a future he never could have imagined. The twins were offering him a chance to help them survive, to help their world live on. And in some way, he realized they were offering him a new path, one he could never have anticipated. He wasn't sure what the future would hold, but as he looked at Lyra, he knew one thing for certain. He couldn't turn his back on them now. All right, he said finally, his voice firm. I'll help you. I don't know what's ahead, but I'll help you rebuild. I'll help your species survive. Lyra smiled, the relief and gratitude in her eyes almost overwhelming. Thank you, Alex. You have no idea how much this means to us. The days following. Lyra's proposal were filled with a mixture of quiet tension and contemplation. Alex had agreed to help the twins, but what that meant for him, for them, and for their entire species was still unclear. His promise weighed heavily on him, and the more he thought about it, the more unsure he became. He had always been a man of action trained to face dangerous situations and solve problems quickly. But this ... was different. Helping the twins rebuild their species was not something he could fix with quick thinking or brute force. This was a commitment, one that went far beyond anything he had ever imagined. It was about trust, it was about life and death, and it was about the future of a species that might not have a future without his help. Every time Alex tried to focus on the task at hand, his mind wandered back to the weight of Lyra's words. We need you to help us rebuild, to carry on our species, to be the father of our next generation. The phrase echoed in his mind, and he couldn't escape it. How could he, a lone human, become such an integral part of their future? It was on the fourth night after Lyra's proposal that the true weight of it all hit him. He sat by the fire looking at the stars above, trying to focus on the vastness of space. Space had always been his escape, his place of comfort. But now it felt different. The stars above him, once symbols of adventure and freedom, now seemed like cold, distant points in a vast, unfeeling universe. Kayla sat beside him, her eyes reflecting the same stars, her face filled with a calm serenity that he could never quite reach. She had grown stronger since their first encounter, but there was still a certain sadness in her eyes, a sadness that mirrored his own growing sense of doubt. You've been quiet, Kayla said, breaking the silence. Her voice was gentle, but Alex could hear the concern underneath it. Alex turned to look at her, surprised by the question. I guess I'm just thinking, he said, his voice distant. Thinking. About everything, about you two, about what you asked of me. Kayla nodded slowly. I understand, she said, her voice soft but knowing. What we asked of you is not easy. It's not something anyone would take lightly. Alex sighed and looked at the fire, watching the flames dance in the cool night air. I didn't come here to become the father of your species, he admitted. I came to help you survive, to make sure you didn't die alone on this planet. But now, it feels like there's more to it. And I'm not sure I'm ready for all of this. Kayla reached out and placed her hand on his shoulder. You don't have to be ready, Alex, she said softly. No one is ever ready for something like this. But we believe in you, Lyra and I. We believe you have the strength, the heart, to help us rebuild. And we are not asking you to be perfect. We are asking you to be part of something bigger than all of us, a chance to ensure that our people have a future. Alex met her gaze, the warmth of the fire flickering in her eyes. I want to help, he said, the words feeling more real than they ever had before. but I don't know if I can carry the weight of everything you're asking. Kayla smiled, her hand still resting on his shoulder. You are already carrying that weight, Alex. The moment you chose to help us, you made the decision to become part of our world. You may not see it, but your actions have already changed everything for us. It's not about being ready. It's about doing what needs to be done. Alex felt a knot form in his chest. Kella's words, while comforting, didn't erase the doubts. Part of our world, either way, will respect your decision. The wind blew gently across the landscape, and for a long moment neither of them spoke. Alex's mind raced, his thoughts tangled in a web of fear, doubt, and uncertainty. He had always been independent, a lone explorer in a vast, lonely universe. But now he was being asked to become part of something greater than himself, something that involved not just survival, but the future of an entire species. How do I know that I'm the right person for this? Alex finally asked, his voice strained. How do I know I'm not just some replacement for what you lost? Kayla looked at him, her expression softening. You aren't a replacement, she said firmly. You are a chance for us to rebuild. Our people may be lost, but we still have the ability to create something new. And you are part of that creation. There is no one else who can do this. For us, it has to be you. Alex was silent for a long time, the weight of her words sinking in. He wasn't sure if he could carry the burden of becoming the father of their future, but he realized that the future of their species wasn't just about him. It was about survival, about hope, and about rebuilding something that had been lost. He looked at Kayla, then back at the stars. The universe was vast, and for the first time in a long while, he felt like a small part of something much bigger. I don't know what the future holds, Alex said quietly, but I'll help you. I'll help rebuild. Kayla smiled softly, her eyes filled with gratitude. Thank you, Alex. We may not know what the future holds either, but together we will create it. As the night stretched on, Alex knew that there was no going back. Whatever lay ahead, he was in this now. And for better or worse, he had made his choice. The days after Alex's conversation with Kayla were filled with quiet reflection. Every decision he made now felt monumental, as if the future of an entire species rested on his shoulders. Lyra and Kayla had made their feelings clear, now it was up to him. He had promised to help them, but he wasn't sure what kind of help they needed, or how far he was willing to go. The twins had always been kind and patient with him, yet the weight of their request was heavy, and Alex wasn't sure if he could carry it. The air was cool as Alex sat near the fire one evening, watching the sky slowly change color as the sun set. He had never felt more alone, despite the fact that the twins were nearby. They were good company, and their presence gave him a sense of comfort, but a part of him still wondered what the right thing to do was. He heard soft footsteps behind him. Lyra appeared, her figure barely visible against the deepening twilight. But her presence was undeniable. She had always been calm, thoughtful, the one who seemed to understand everything. She sat down next to him without a word, her eyes fixed on the horizon. For a long while, neither of them spoke. Alex felt the silence between them, heavy and full of meaning. Finally, Lyra broke the quiet, her voice soft yet clear in the evening air. I can see the doubt in your eyes, Alex, she said. I know it's difficult. You don't have to decide anything right away. Take your time. Alex turned to her, the weight of his own uncertainty showing in his expression. It's not that simple, he replied. I didn't come here to become part of your species' future. I came to help you, to make sure you didn't die alone, but now it feels like the weight of your entire world is on me. Lyra nodded, her expression sad but understanding. We never asked you to bear the weight of our world alone, she said gently. We only asked for your help in securing our future. It's a decision that will change both of our lives, but you're not doing this by yourself. We are in this together. Alex sat in silence for a moment, the weight of her words sinking in. He had helped them survive, but that had only been the first step. The next steps, those were more difficult. The twins weren't asking for just a temporary solution. They were asking him to become a permanent part of their world. I never thought I'd be in a situation like this, Alex admitted, his voice full of frustration. I'm just one man. I don't know if I'm the right person for this job. How can I rebuild your species? I'm not even sure I understand everything you need from me. Lyra looked at him, her eyes soft but firm. You are the right person, Alex. You may not understand everything yet, but you've already shown us your strength, your compassion. That's all we need. The rest will come in time. We will guide you, just as you've guided us. Alex sighed and leaned back against the ground, staring up at the sky. The stars were bright above him, distant and endless. They seemed like a reminder of how small he felt in the grand scheme of things. How could he, one man, possibly help them rebuild their species? How could he be what they needed? I'm not sure I can do it, Lyra, he said quietly. What if I'm not strong enough? What? If I fail you? Lyra placed a hand on his arm, her touch warm and comforting. You are stronger than you know, Alex, and even if you feel uncertain now, we'll face it together. We're not asking for perfection, we're asking for your heart. You've already proven that you have that. Alex turned to look at her. There was something in her eyes, a mixture of trust and hope that made him feel both heavy and honored. He had never been someone who looked for responsibility. He had always been a traveler, someone who wanted to see the stars without having to be tied down by anything. But now, the twins were offering him something different, a chance to be part of something that mattered, something that could change everything. I don't know if I can be the father of your future, Alex said, his voice raw, but I can help you. I'll do whatever it takes to make sure you have a chance. I can't promise I'll be perfect, but I'll try. I'll help you rebuild. We'll do it together. Lyra smiled, her expression softening. That's all we ask, Alex. Just your help, your willingness to try. Together we will find our way. The fire crackled softly in the background as the two sat there in silence. The weight of the decision was still there, but it no longer felt as suffocating. Alex knew the road ahead would be difficult, full of challenges and unknowns, but for the first time, he felt a sense of purpose that had eluded him for so long. He was not just a traveler anymore. He was part of something bigger, something that mattered. As the stars above continued to shine brightly, Alex realized that the future he had once thought was uncertain now seemed full of possibility. Whatever the twins needed from him, he would do his best to give. And in return he would learn from them, just as they would learn from him. I'll do it, Alex said finally, his voice steady. I'll help you rebuild. I don't know what the future holds, but I'm in this with you. Lyra's smile widened, and she squeezed his arm gently. Thank you, Alex. You've made all the difference. Together we will create a new future. As the night deepened, the quiet between them felt comfortable, peaceful even. Alex didn't have all the answers. He didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but for the first time since he had arrived on this planet, he felt like he was exactly where he needed to be. The trial was not what Alex had expected. It wasn't about fighting or physical tests of strength. It was about trust, about connecting with the twins on a deeper level, about showing that he was ready to stand by the first part of the trial was simple. Lyra and Kayla led Alex to an old chamber that had once been a sacred space for their people. There were strange, alien carvings on the walls, symbols that Alex could not decipher. Despite their beauty, the chamber felt cold, like it had been abandoned for far too long. This place, Kayla began, was once where our people came together to bind themselves to one another, to share their lives and futures. We are the last of our kind, and now it's your turn to be a part of that. Alex felt a deep weight in his chest as he followed them inside. He looked around at the walls and the empty space, knowing that the future of the twin species might be decided here. What do I need to do? Alex asked, his voice steady but uncertain. Lyra stepped forward, her eyes bright with a mixture of hope and vulnerability. You must show us that you can trust us as we trust you. Share with us your history, your heart, your thoughts. Let us know who you are, just as we have opened ourselves to you. Alex paused, unsure of how to begin. His life had always been simple, focused on survival and exploration. He had never been one for deep emotional connections. But now he realized that his silence, his distance, would not help the twins. They needed him to open up. They needed him to let them in. He took a deep breath, sitting down on the cold stone floor of the chamber. The twins sat across from him, their gazes expectant yet patient. He closed his eyes for a moment, gathering his thoughts, then began speaking. "I'm not like most people," Alex said, his voice low. "I spend most of my life on Earth, trying to explore the stars and discover new worlds. I've never had many close relationships. I've always kept my distance. Not because I didn't care, but because I didn't know how to be part of something bigger than myself. I've always been alone. That's how I was raised." He looked up at the twins, feeling their eyes on him, encouraging him to continue. "I've traveled to distant planets, met strange creatures, but nothing has felt as important as this moment. Helping you both, being part of your future. It's more than I ever imagined, but I'm still scared. Scared I might not be enough, scared I might fail you." There was a long silence, and Alex wondered if he had said too much. But then Kayla spoke, her voice soft and understanding. "You are not alone in this, Alex," Kayla said, her eyes filled with warmth. "We are all scared, but we cannot move forward without trust, without being open to what lies ahead. You do not have to be perfect. You only need to be here with us." "That is enough," Alex nodded, the tension in his chest easing slightly. He had never shared so much of himself with anyone before. But in that moment he realized that opening up to them was the only way to move forward. Lyra smiled gently, her expression filled with relief. "You've done it, Alex. You've shown us your heart, your truth. That is the first step. The rest will come with time." The second part of the trial was less about words and more about action. The twins led Alex outside to a large stone circle in the center of the ruins. It was an ancient structure overgrown with vines and moss, but it was clear that it had once been a place of great significance for the twins people. "This circle is where we once made our vows," Lyra explained, her voice reverberating with emotion. "It is where we connected with the world, with each other, and with the future. Now we will make our vow to you." Kayla stepped forward and extended her hand to Alex, her eyes filled with sincerity. "We ask you to join us, to stand by us in the same way. Not just for today, but for the future. Will you help us rebuild, help us carry on? Will you stand by us, not just as an outsider, but as a partner?" Alex hesitated for only a moment, his heart pounding in his chest. Everything about this was new, and yet it felt right. The twins needed him, and for the first time in a long while, Alex realized that he needed them too. He was no longer just a traveler wandering through the stars. He was part of something bigger, something that had the potential to create a future, one that hadn't existed for their species for so long. "I will," Alex said, his voice steady. "I will stand by you, help you rebuild, and help your people survive. I will not be perfect, but I will do my best. We will do this together." Kella's eyes softened, and she stepped forward, taking his hand in hers. "Thank you, Alex. This is the beginning of a new future for us." Lyra joined them, placing her hand on top of theirs. "Together we will create something that lasts. The future is ours to build." As the three of them stood there, their hands joined in the ancient circle, Alex felt a sense of peace settle within him. The weight of the decision was still there, but it no longer felt like a burden. It felt like a promised one he was ready to keep. The ruins of their world, once a symbol of destruction, now felt like a place of possibility. The stars above them twinkled with potential. And for the first time since arriving on this distant planet, Alex felt like he truly belonged. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. And together, they would rebuild a future that had once seemed impossible. The next few days were a blur of activity. Alex had agreed to help the twins, but it wasn't as simple as just offering them his assistance. There were steps to take, things to learn, and the weight of responsibility continued to grow heavier. Lyra and Kayla had been nothing but patient, showing him the small but significant tasks that would help them survive. But there was always a lingering question in the back of Alex's mind. What was really expected of him? What did it mean to truly become a part of their future? It wasn't long before Lyra explained that they would need to take a journey to their home planet, a place that had once been lush with life, but now lay in ruins. The twins had spoken of it before, but Alex had only heard bits and pieces. He had seen the barren landscape of their current world, but this was different. Their home planet, a distant world, held memories of their people, their culture, and their past. The journey was long, but it gave Alex time to reflect. Lyra and Kayla had explained the importance of bonding with him, but they hadn't told him everything. They hadn't told him about the trials he would have to face, the trials of trust and tradition that came with being a potential partner to an entire species. Alex wasn't sure what kind of trials his sight of the planet, once vibrant and full of life, now looked desolate. Its surface was scarred by ancient battles and environmental collapse. The cities where the twins' ancestors had lived lay in ruins, their structures crumbling under the weight of time. It was a place of both great beauty and great sadness. Lyra stood beside him, her gaze steady but filled with a quiet sorrow. "This was once our home," she said softly. "It was a place of strength, of unity. But that was before the war, before the collapse. Now, we are the last ones left." Alex felt a pang of sympathy. He could see the weight of their past in Lyra's eyes, and it hurt to think about what they had lost. He had never known a world so fragile, so close to the brink of extinction. His own planet Earth had its problems, but it had never known the kind of devastation that had struck these alien beings. "We can't let it all be for nothing," Lyra continued, her voice firm now. "We can rebuild, but we need your help. We need someone who understands the value of survival." As they descended toward the planet's surface, Alex knew there was more to this than just survival. This was about something deeper, about healing, about creating a future that could never have been imagined before. And somehow, Alex was now at the center of it. They landed in a large, open field that once housed the grand citadel of the twins. The buildings were now little more than scattered remnants, their foundations cracked and overgrown with alien plants. It was quiet here, peaceful in a way, but it also held a deep sense of loss that seemed to echo through the air. Lyra and Kayla led Alex through the ruins, their footsteps careful and deliberate as they navigated the fallen stone structures. The air was thick with the weight of the past, but there was a new feeling here, hope. It wasn't clear, but it was there, like a distant flicker on the horizon. "This is where the Council of Elders once gathered," Kayla said, gesturing to a large, crumbling archway. "This is where we were once taught about our history, our purpose. But now, it is empty. We are the last." Alex stood beneath the arch, looking around at the forgotten city. The structures, while broken, still held an undeniable beauty, alien designs, intricate carvings that seemed to tell stories Alex could never fully understand. It was a culture that had once flourished, now reduced to dust and memories. "Do you still remember everything?" Alex asked, his voice low. He could sense the weight of Kala's words. Kayla nodded slowly. "We remember, but there's so much we have forgotten. So much that has been lost. We need to rebuild our knowledge, our traditions. And for that, we need someone strong to help us lead. Someone who will stand with us, not just for survival, but for the future." Alex's heart pounded in his chest. He wasn't sure what they expected from him. They had said they needed his help, but this was more than just assistance. It was a plea for leadership. Lyra and Kayla were looking to him not only to help their species survive, but to help them rediscover who they were, to rebuild what had been broken. Lyra approached Alex then, her expression serious. "There is a trial that must take place," she said. "It is a tradition of our people, one that must be respected. The council of our ancestors, though no longer present, still holds sway over the bond we form. You must prove yourself worthy." Alex's mind raced. "What do I have to do?" Lyra's eyes softened. "It is not a test of strength or skill, it is a trial of trust. You must show that you understand what it means to bond with us, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually. You must show that you are willing to stand by us no matter what." Alex didn't know how he could prove something like that. He had never been good with emotions or deep connections. He had always been a loner, someone who kept his distance from people, never allowing himself to get too close. But now, with the fate of the twin species resting in his hands, he realized that he couldn't keep his distance anymore. "Are you ready?" Lyra asked quietly. Alex took a deep breath, looking out at the ruined city one last time. It was a city that held the weight of history, but also the possibility of a new future. He turned back to Lyra and Kayla, his resolve slowly forming. "I'm ready." The twins exchanged a glance, then nodded in unison. Together, they stepped forward into the heart of their ruined city, ready to begin the trial that would determine not just their survival, but their future.